Climb aboard the Missionary Ridge Local train ride and get ready for a step back in time. The journey starts at Grand Junction Station, and as soon as the train pulls away, you'll feel like you're experiencing a piece of history. One of the coolest parts of the trip is passing through the Missionary Ridge Tunnel, which was built before the Civil War. It's like traveling through a living museum. Along the way, you cross over 4 bridges, and at East Chattanooga Depot, you get to see an old school turntable in action, along with a behind the scenes tour of the restoration shop. It's a chance to see up close how these classic trains are brought back to life. All in all, it's a unique way to spend a day learning about railroads with plenty of great views along the way. Let's dive in.
They all got killed.
It was a group of 25 men. 2 slept in the morning of the chase. Lost their life. They were hung. Hanged, I should say. Hanged.
And then immortalized in the National Cemetery.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a monument with the train down at the National Cemetery.
Right. Well, folks, I'll tell you this. My name's Jason. I'm glad to have y'all with us today. We've been having issues here on the railroad since yesterday. I'm tired. I have some issues, but that's how it is with vintage railroad equipment. My conductor, that's right, thank you, Key Largo. My conductor today is Travis. Your engineer is Miss Ricky in locomotive 710. Now, this railroad that you're traveling over today is the East Tennessee and Georgia Railroad. It was completed back in 1859. And if you look right there, that's my favorite tree. That's about as close to scenery you'll get around here. But on this train trip you'll take today, you'll be crossing over 4 bridges and through 1 pre-Civil War era tunnel. Our first bridge is coming up over Chickamauga Creek. It spans about 350 feet in length. It stands about 70 to 75 feet above the creek below us. Well, I should say on record, there are some announcements that are warnings to everybody. Per federal and state law, there is no smoking or vaping on the train. If I see anybody smoking or vaping, I will assume you're on fire. Luckily for you, we're crossing over a creek, and that will be your new home if you are on fire. That is kind of ranch. I think you're right, and I think it is Element. It used to be Army. used mostly Irish labor. It was 95% Irish labor, actually. Hey, there it is. I'm gonna tell y'all a story I don't get to tell on the normal tour. In January of 1891, an East Tennessee, Virginia, and Georgia train was hauling a narrow gauge steam locomotive through this very tunnel. Now, since it's narrow gauge, that means it's operating on rails and narrower than our own. They did not do a clearance check of that locomotive, so it ripped through over 300 feet of this tunnel. Matter of fact, over here, you actually have to see it on both sides. The moment where it cuts from brick to exposed rock of the limestone in Missionary Ridge, that's how long that cave-in was. The tunnel was collapsed for over 2 weeks. And then what they do is they'd run their train to get their passengers over the ridge. You know what they do? They make them walk over the ridge. Yeah, they had to walk about 1,000 feet. That way.
High up on the flatbed, they were carrying it on. They were carrying it through that funnel. I'm guessing the funnel hit the top.
Yep, it was too tall. I'd like.
That was Missionary Ridge.
Yep, that is Missionary Ridge right up there.
Wow.
And that's a Civil War battlefield on top of that too.
Yeah, wow.
The Union tried to get that tunnel over there, and I don't know the rest of the story. Travis is probably telling right now.
Well, apparently they took a train from Atlanta. They sent people who looked like civilians that were
That was,
actually.
that's the general.
Yep, that was the great
They
locomotive.
didn't make
Yes.
they didn't make a single tower.
Yep, this was the single tower over here. But the great locomotive chase, it started down in
New Orleans.
no, not in New Orleans.
Atlanta.
Big Shanty. It started at Big Shanty, which is now Kennesaw. That's right. I haven't mentioned that in a while, so it's not fresh in my mind. But yeah, it was led by James Andrews. Had 25 men, 2 slept in, and it was thanks to Captain William Fuller, who was the conductor of the General, that their plan was thwarted. They wanted to reach Chattanooga, but they only got as far as Ringgold because the locomotive ran out of steam. They didn't have enough time to acquire more wood and water. That's why the General went out of service there. The Texas, like Sam was saying, it was heading southbound. They didn't have enough time to turn it around, so they had to run it north, tender first, backwards. But that was very, very dangerous. Steam locomotives back in the day, they were not equipped to run like that. But they were running up to 60 miles an hour on a railroad meant for 15 miles an hour. And that's about what we're doing right here. It's about 10 miles an hour right here. So can y'all imagine doing 60 on the railroad run right now? Imagine how bumpy it would be for us as it was during the Civil War, except magnified 10 times worse. That's what it was.
Wasn't there a movie about that?
Yes, two of them actually. Buster Keaton did one called The General,
Yeah, 1926.
and Walt Disney did one in 1952 called The Great Locomotive Chase. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to find that on Disney Plus. So I actually have a physical DVD copy, and I actually bought a digital version on YouTube. It's like $5. So it's actually a very, very accurate bio picture. They brought in 2 steam locomotives, not the original General in Texas. They had the B&O Baltimore, Ohio William Mason as the General, and the Virginia and Truckee Inyo. That was the Texas. Man, I swear you're smarter than me.
And the Inyo is now preserved as a railroad leading part of the city.
Really? All the way out there?
That's where the Virginia and Truckee run out of that. And I think it's actually owned, the Inyo is actually owned by the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, the new tourist railroad. What is that, the Virginia and Truckee Railroad? They have a 440. I forget what its name is, but it's not the Inyo. But the Inyo was there last year for their Great Western Steamboat. So it was there, but I don't think they own it though.
And now we're about to come into East Chattanooga Depot.
Yep.
And the depot was first designed in 1978. And then in 1979 it dedicated in March.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
All right. So I'm out of a job. Here, you can take the hat, buddy. He did the whole tour for me on the way over here. I appreciate you, Sam, for letting me save my voice. He's pretty good, isn't he? He's pretty good.
I'll find out. I'll find out if it's the correct date.
It is the correct day.
20th or 20th.
Pretty sure it's the 20th.
During a torrential rain shower.
It was a trench rain.
Which one you having trouble with? That one?
The 6:30 right there. That was one supposed to run, yeah. Well, and so actually what we're going to do here is we're going to invite you guys off the train. We're going to take you down to the turntable. Then we're going to take you inside of the back shop. We'll get you. Alrighty, folks, how we doing today? Alright, it sounds like 2 people are awake. Better. Well, for those of you riding in the 1000, I'm sure you're well acquainted with our conductor Travis here. My name is Jason. I'll be your trainman and your historian here. Y'all doing all right this morning?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we made it to East Chattanooga. We can't go any further. See that? That's quite the obstacle up there. It's called a hillside. What we're going to do is we're going to put this here locomotive on this turntable, spin it around 180 degrees for our return trip back to Grand Junction. Now, I'm going to ask you, how many of us have ever seen a turntable before? Okay, about a third of you, maybe just under half. Well, that works out great because there's going to be more people learning stuff today. So after today, you'll be able to say you've seen an operational turntable for the very first time. Before I get started, look down at your feet, see that yellow line? I'd like you to make sure you stand behind that yellow line, please. And I'll tell you about our table here. It was built in 1916 by the built in 1916 by the American Bridge and Iron Company for the Central of Georgia Railroad. It's 80 feet long and it weighs 80 tons. Now, who here knows how heavy that is? How heavy is 80 tons, folks? What do we think? A lot? Okay. I'll tell you, 80 tons is 160,000 pounds. But that is also known as heavy. And it'll surprise you to learn this turntable is built as a hand-powered turntable. Now the total weight we're going to be spinning today is about 200 tons. Locomotive 710 comes in at about 120 tons. 80 plus 120 is 200 tons, 400,000 pounds. But back in the day, they were spinning steam locomotives, just like what we're going to see here in a minute, such as our Southern 4501. That comes in at 215 tons when fully loaded with coal and water. That's in total about 300 tons, 600,000 pounds we're spinning with a steam locomotive. With that, I need 4 strong volunteers. I need 4 strong adults to help turn this thing around. 4 strong volunteers. Nobody wants to volunteer. Oh, all right, we'll take you, man. We'll just use you. Give the single man a round of applause. Come on around, folks. All right, 2 people. Come on, we'll give them a round of applause. I'm just kidding, stay where you are. Here's why I don't need your help. We have this word that's very important to us. Liability insurance. They wouldn't appreciate it if we took y'all behind that yellow line, but that's okay. I've got the strongest man in the world, Sailor Conductor Travis, everybody. Well, I think about half of them will say hello to you. It's still early. Yeah, I'll give a pass for that. Folks, he's going to be doing all this work by himself with 1 finger. He's that strong. Did you have your breakfast? You did? Good. He's going to need it. Because he's going to be using a 25 horsepower electric motor, which is located underneath the cabin. Now, don't worry about me or Travis standing on this all-steel turntable. Electricity will not pass through a bad conductor. That's probably the best first warning reaction I've ever got. Well, folks, as we bring the locomotive on the table, please make sure you've got small kiddos. Take them at the hand at this time. And I'm going to explain the trick of how this is going to work. Right in the very, very center of the turntable is a 6-foot diameter ball bearing. The locomotive is going to balance over that bearing. It is going to make turning things a whole lot easier. When the engine is closer to the center of the table, watch the far right of the table that I'm at down here. It'll drop down about 2 to 3 inches, and that means we'll be ready to start spinning our locomotive. Up at the engineer's seat, that's our engineer, Miss Ricky. Make sure you say hello to her as we start spinning. Otherwise, she won't take us home today. All right, we're dropped out. Have a good one. So what's going to happen now, folks? We'll start spinning the locomotive. This engine that pulled your train today, this is the National Chattanooga and St. Louis Railway number 710. Built in 1950 by the Electromotive Division of General Motors as a high hood GP7 for the NC St. L. It could then produce 1,500 horsepower. Now behind the engineer's seat where Miss Ricky is, there is a 16-cylinder diesel engine. And that is what is constantly turning an electric generator. That is what is producing the power for our locomotive. It's also powering what is the air compressor located in the very rear of the engine. That is what is creating the pressure for our brakes to work on the entire train. In 1957, the Louisville National Railroad would fully acquire the NC and St. L into their growing operations. 710 here would have become NC and St. L number 478. It's still early morning for me. Where did Travis go? He's around there somewhere. In 1978, L&N number 478 would be sold to Amtrak. Anybody here take an Amtrak train before? All right. Well, if you're riding Amtrak in the 1970s through the 90s, you would have never seen this engine. It was part of their maintenance of way program. They would be bringing people, parts, and supplies across Amtrak's system to upgrade or repair their infrastructure. That meant their railroad tracks, crossing signals, switches, buildings, tunnels, and whatnot. And then came the late 1990s. Amtrak decided this locomotive was too old and underpowered for their growing operations. So they opted to retire it, turn around, and sold it at auction. We acquired it here at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, and we had the restoration complete in 2004. That was a no-hitter for conductor Travis. That means he did it right first time, first try, no adjustments needed. So what's going to happen now is the locomotive is going to roll off. We're going to perform what is called a runaround. We're going to run around the train. Conductor Travis is going to hop on the engine to go down to the end of track 2. Throw a switch to allow it to traverse from track 2 to 1 to reverse into our train to couple up and pull us back to Grand Junction. Ladies and gentlemen, you have now seen a turntable. How about that?
Woo!
All right. Now, folks, before we go anywhere, we are going to take our tour one more spot. If you'd like to join me up to the tracks up here, we're going to go to the back shop. That's the last part of our tour here. That's why it's called back shop. What do you think? It's at the back of the shop. I heard it from several people. It's called the back shop because it is in the money. That's it. Now, in the 1970s, when we acquired this property from the Southern Railway, we did not have this building for over 10 years. That meant we did all the restoration and repair work outside. That is not what I would consider very fun or safe. In the 1980s, we began to expand our operations here at the museum. We needed to have somewhere more safer and more efficient to do the restoration and repair work on our railroad. Now we're going to go and cut straight to the chase. We're going to talk about a steam locomotive. We'll use the 4501 right here, for example. That steam locomotive right there was built in October 1911 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for the Southern Railway as their very first to Mikado delivered to them. They had 485 locomotives built just like the 4501, that being the first of 485. Of those 485 built, 484 of them were cut for scrap. That means 4501 was the first one built and the last one left. And then you might be wondering, how would the Southern Railway been able to maintain those 485 steam locomotives? Well, in actuality, at one point, they had over 2,000 steam locomotives in total to maintain. So what we're going to do is go back to the year 1924, 100 years ago. We're going to go to a town called Spencer, North Carolina. At Spencer is the Southern Railway Spencer Shops. You can still visit the Spencer Shops. It's now owned by the North Carolina Transportation Museum. Well, I'm going to ask y'all a question. Do y'all think our building in here is pretty big? We can fit 4 pieces of equipment in here. At Spencer, man, he should build his own railroad over there, isn't he? He must be inspired. Well, anyway, this back shop at Spencer can hold up to 20 full-size steam locomotives and their tenders, where we can only fit 4 in here if we really tried. What they would do is they would take their steam locomotives, put it in the shop. They would tear it down to the bare frame, inspect every single moving part on the engine, and then put it back together with brand new parts. I'm going to ask y'all another question, take some guesses from you. In 1924, how long do you think it took them to take 4501 apart right here, and then tear it down and put it back together?
6 hours. 6 hours.
Like 6 hours? What do you say? 1,472 days, okay? Say a week. Everybody say a week, okay? What do y'all think over here, folks? 2 years, what do you say? 4 hours. 4 hours? Man. Ooh. You must be from the Union. And she's playing with rocks. So here's what the answer's going to be. She didn't like that. In 1924, it took them 30 days. Thank you, Seth Moore. It took them 30 days, 1 month, to tear into the 4501 and put it back together with brand new parts. Now, 4501 is completely operational. It's still hot from running yesterday. We sent it down to Summerville, Georgia. That's our 104-mile round trip, 9-hour trip from Chattanooga to Summerville and back. We began the restoration process of the 4501 in the year 2010. Well, now that you know that in 1924 it took 30 days, in 2010, long after the days of steam were over, how long do y'all think it took us? What do you say? Say 30 days, okay? What do you want to try again, sir? Say a year, okay. What do we think over here, folks? What do we think?
2 years.
Say a year, 2 years. Everybody else, what do y'all think?
We go 4 years.
Say 4 years? You have no idea? I was there yesterday. It's okay. Say 2 months. You said 2 months? All right. Starting in the year 2010, it took us 4 years.
Nailed it.
It took us 4 years to do what the Southern Railroad did in 30 days. What the heck? Anybody want to take a guess as to why that is the case? We don't have the equipment to repair it. We don't have the parts. Anybody else? What do y'all think?
Takes a long time to 3D print.
Takes a long time to 3D print. I'd like to see a 3D printed part hold on that thing. It gets up to 300 degrees sometimes. Do what? We just get full locomotives in here. Okay. I'll tell you the exact reason. Steam locomotive parts are not what I would consider in great demand. That means if we need a part, nobody makes it, what do? We have to make it. That means I'm not going down the street to Loco Zone or OJ Israel Parts or Amazon.com to order a new part. We have to make it ourselves. 4501 cost us in 2014 over $2 million to restore. And last time I checked, that's a lot of money. How do we afford that big old bill? First of all, we're a non-profit organization. We accept federal grants and donations. Number 2, we also pull freight trains around Chattanooga. Don't just pull passenger trains all day long. But the number one most important thing is standing in front of me now. Who is that, friends? Tourist? Well, I'd say every single one of you. And I wouldn't call you a tourist. I'll call you a friend or a passenger. Some of you might be tourists. I don't know. Had a guy from England yesterday. Yeah, I'm definitely a tourist. Say, I'll call you a friend anyway. Well, friends, before we go, I want to say thank you for coming out and ride with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. As you can see, we're in the process of switching around our steam locomotive. That was what's supposed to be pulling your train today. Unfortunately, had some issues arise over the night, and that has prevented it from operating today. But we're glad you still guys got to come out and see it. You still got to get up close and personal with the steam locomotive right here. Friends, you guys got any questions you'd like to ask? Any questions at all? Well, alright. Sam, have I ever given you one of my bins? At a railway, we'll be observed wandering around with blank expressions, muttering strange words, rapid rise and temperature at the side of the train. Behavior then becomes erratic, much rushing about in a way to go. Foaming at the mouth is not unusual. It is sometimes violent to non-believers. The Seems not to notice the presence of normal people. In all caps, this condition is not fatal. The treatment. The patient must be kept well supplied with items of railway friends and relations covering free transport, free Dude, that's awesome.
That's on our local Wales West. Wales West.
Is that down in Alabama?
Yeah, they got this is the one that they went there and they liked it so much.
That's yours, quicker than me.
Yeah.
I had
I want to record the trip back.
Huh?
Because I want to record the trip back.
Oh.
Do a YouTube video.
It's an RV. We got there early, so I got to see it. They let me into their garage with these people.
also well, when you're familiar, I was actually getting this watch.
Oh, that's
Special watch. So I got this. It's been this long since y'all been here. I got qualified as trainer 2 weeks ago. Yep. They used to fit up to Pennsylvania. I got a bunch of buddies who work over here in this city. Let's just say that everybody that works with railroad preservation is good. In one way or the other. Great disease to have.
I wonder if you can just look it up and get it. Like a middle.
The other closest one we have, they don't run. That's the Freedom Train. They ran it from last year. Steve Rose was the first one on this railroad. Rapid Transit Service. Something relative. They went down, they got retired. Last one, most recent one. They're about to put something so this team over there. They had ran for 8 years. This is dirt.
And yeah, you can't find the We got a really good hostel there. We got 3 breakfasts. And that was really nice. We came back and wanted to fly out. We had to stay at the hotel. So we chose to stay at the same place. Yeah, the Wales West is like 30 minutes. Oh, Wales West, maybe. Well, we went there to London and we took the train from London all the way up to Edinburgh. And we got a bus tour of the Scottish Highlands. They were beautiful.
I got a bunch of friends who live over in England. They can visit.
And one.
You want to go?
We went to the York Railway. I got one of them. I got some. Let's see.
There is one railroad that I love visiting. They have American songs. They have a whole irrigated There you go. Yes. Evening Star, all right.
That's all right. Yeah, and we managed to get to the Italian country. That one was good. And then we also went to the Welsh Highway, the little American.
Come in, Travis. What kind of spot you want?
I'm gonna stop between 2 and 3 from the door.
Understood.
I'm gonna go there, 5,000 hours after traffic.
The first successful scenic.
That was
Yeah.
Folks, thank you so much for riding with us today. We're going into Grand Junction. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. And I don't know if Travis explained this to you yet or not, but your ticket does include admission into the exhibit hall. That's located in the back left of the parking lot. That is free with your ticket. So do not miss out on that. It's really cool. There's a line on train display up
Oh
there.
yeah, I saw the map.
If you look, there's a bunch of scale line on train stuff up there with two double engines. Look them out. Guys will be loading this way in just a minute.
Glad we came early.
Oh, look at all the people on. Oh wow. We got. That's why you go to the first one. That's why you go.
That's how you do it.